There's a new feature on the Uber app, which is very interesting, that allows you, when you're ordering an Uber, to potentially get a taxi, but the taxi operates exactly as if it's an Uber. So in this video, I'm talking about one, how to enable or disable it, two, how it works, and three, is it worth it or not? First off, this is very easy to do. One, on your Uber app, you're going to go to account, then go to settings, and then all the way at the bottom, you just click taxis. And you can see this, that basically when you book a ride, allow a taxi to pick you up. By including taxis, Uber trips are designed to give you faster pickups. So basically, even though it's a taxi, it looks like a taxi, it seems like a taxi, it operates exactly as an Uber. So things to know. You can see the price up front, pay and tip in the Uber app. Ride with a licensed taxi driver, get a similar class of vehicle, screenings and features may vary. Basically, it's a taxi. With that being said, how does this work and is it worth it or not? Gonna be honest, in terms of how it works, there really isn't a lot of things you have to worry about. This actually happened to me and one of my friends. I did a video about it a couple weeks ago because I know they've been kind of slowly rolling out this feature or experimenting with it. But basically, in terms of how it works, it's the exact same as an Uber, like I said. It pulls up. It may be weird at first because like, wait, I ordered an Uber. Why is there a taxi here? You get in. It's not like there's like a fare per se. It's not like you have to pay the taxi driver as if you're getting a taxi. It is exactly the same logistics as ordering an Uber. No difference. So that all being said, is it worth it or not? I'm going to be honest. In my experience, because I did actually have this happen to me, I'm going to say yes. To briefly summarize that story, it was me and one of my friends. We were going to a concert, going to see Fred again, the EDM artist. She ordered an Uber. We were waiting, and a taxi pulls up, and sitting there for a good few minutes, and I'm like, that's kind of weird, it's kind of coincidental. We're ordering an Uber, here's a taxi. And then she goes, I don't get it, like, I don't see it, and I look, and I'm like, wait a minute, we have a taxi. And she goes, what? And we look, and sure enough, it says, hey, your ride is here, and the picture of the car was a taxi. The license plates matched. We checked to make sure the driver's name was the same. That was our ride. Kind of weird, and we were like, all right, this is kind of odd. And got in the taxi. It drove us just like a normal Uber ride, dropped us off. She was charged in the app. She could tip in the app. Everything was exactly the same as ordering an Uber. And this is why I say, honestly, although it's weird, I'd say if you want to enable it or disable it, I just showed you how. You can easily go to this in your settings and turn it off. But I'd say, honestly, to keep it on. That's my perspective. And the main reason why is this. What Uber's saying is, hey, of course, we're going to get you an Uber. That's the goal. But let's say there's no Ubers around. Let's say it's peak hour, and let's say it's very difficult to get an Uber. If a taxi is available, they're going to come and pick you up instead. However, everything's going to be the exact same. And I want to stress that because I think when that taxi came to pick me and her up, I was kind of jarring, being like, shoot, I don't have cash on me. Do they accept a credit card? Or they probably do, because most taxis do, of course. But it's like we ordered an Uber. It was kind of jarring at first and a bit kind of off-putting. But then the fact that it went so seamless, and it was basically, like I said, if you had to like close my eyes or whatever, or blindfold me, and have me take a taxi via the Uber app, or a normal Uber via the Uber app, I would not know the difference. Everything was exactly the same. So all this really allows you to do is get from point A to point B, get to your destination quicker. This is all that allows you to do. That, like say, if there's no Ubers on the road, like I said, or there's no basically cars in your area, or it's just super swamped and packed, you can get a taxi instead. And this is, I think, a pretty cool feature. I'm going to be honest. I do think it's kind of weird. It reminds me, and I saw this before in a couple other videos, when like Netflix made a show about Blockbuster. Like, I feel like this is like kind of similar to that, where it's like some paradox of like, all right, taxis get taken over by the ride-sharing world, Uber being the biggest company, right? And now Uber's saying, hey, you want to get a taxi via the Uber app, but I guess it's the definition of that classic saying, if you can't beat them, join them. And I think this does allow, one, for passengers to get a taxi, or get an Uber, I guess, bad wanting to get an Uber quicker. It allows passengers to get an Uber quicker, that if there's no Ubers around and a taxi's driving around, boom, it allows them to get to their destination quicker, more efficiently, as if they're in a normal Uber. But then two, I think for taxi drivers on the other end of the spectrum, it helps them out as well. Like say they're driving around, they're not getting any rides, and it pops up and they're like, hey, I can accept a ride via Uber, as opposed to like say their normal taxi ride. They accept the Uber ride, they drive and pick you up as if it's an Uber. Gotta be honest, I think this is a great feature. It allows passengers, like I said, to get there quicker, allows taxi drivers to make more money, like say if it's a bit of a slower day or whatever. I think it's an excellent feature to have in the Uber app.